Our next step in teaching the press motor technique is going into multiple release progressions. The first release we will work will be the slant release. As you can see on the video, it says smashing down on the slant, meaning we want to be very aggressive when we get a slant release. Most teams, because of how we're pressing, will give you what we like to call a diamond release, where the receiver will initially foot fire to the outside and then try to beat you back underneath. Okay, it's a very sharp angle. The receiver's trying to get into the slant window and is not trying to work back upfield. So we want to be aggressive with it, smash down on the slant. We want to try to get two hands on the receiver and smash him down to the outside linebacker. Here are some examples to show you what I'm talking about. Watch the receiver at the top and the DB. Let's watch a receiver and DB at the top of the screen again. Here's three really good examples of the DB smashing down on the slant with the receiver giving him a diamond release from the get-go. Here in some examples again. Remember what your progression should be. You should be working fade comeback, and now we're working the slant. Again, be aggressive, two hands, and smash down on the slant. The next release we will work is where the receiver works to get inside you right away. Okay, he works inside you to go inside right away, and he's pushing vertical. Okay, he's pushing vertical for either a dig, which usually happens around 10 yards, or continues to go vertical on a post. This coach will explain how we will play that, the technique with the offhand jam, and how we're going to lean on that upfield shoulder. Remember, we have to stay on the upfield shoulder because being in zero coverage, we have no help over top. If the receiver catches the ball, we still have our arm on the upfield shoulder, and we can look to swipe. And if we don't swipe, we can secure the tackle.
Release. On the inside release, I tell our guys to lean like crazy. So there's the motor, there's the inside release. Now, take your body and lean. Now, as we work against our players, we are in no gear. We don't have on pads. We don't tackle each other, so we work together with the wideouts, which is really important. But that's perfect. He knows right now what the route is and playing it really good. That's excellent right there. Inside release, press against him. Lean and go play it. Nice right there. Shows it from another angle. You can see the stem inside. Look at the eyes down. Look at the body go press. Now what will happen is, okay, here we go again. Got an inside release. So what should happen? Lean, lean. Now here's an example of what a wideout does, because he understands what him leaning. So who's taking the aggressiveness to who? The wideout's taking it to us. That's why I tell our guys, take your body and you lean against him. Pat on the pad and you lean. And as he leans, if he pushes off, it ought to be, if you're leaning the right way, it's going to pull you right there with it. Not bad. It can be.
Here is a drill you can practice and do which is, you're getting an inside release by the receiver. You're giving him an offhand jam, and you got your hand on him pressing and leaning like the coach mentioned before. And here's just an example of a drill you can do. Remember, when you're offhand jamming and running with the inside release, you got to stay on the upfield shoulder. Got to stay on the upfield shoulder. Here are two more examples to watch the receiver taking off with the inside release. And remember, again, he's not on a slant route. He's going vertical off his inside release. So let's watch the DB and receiver at the bottom of the screen. In this example, watch the DB and the receiver at the top of the screen. Again, the receiver is taking an inside release right away and working to get vertical. The next tool we will give you in your press motor technique will be when to speed turn. A route that we see a lot in our press, or even when we're playing our off man, is a post by the number one. But what the number one does is they push us upfield, giving us an outside release, and then they try to cut back inside of us once our hips have been turned to 180 degrees. You'll hear the coach talk about this. So the big thing about defending the post when we have our hips at 180 degrees and the receiver tries to cut underneath us and get back vertical is speed turning and working back to the upfield shoulder again. Again, we need to run to the upfield shoulder. We can swipe with the inside arm, but again, we have no help. So we have to speed turn to the upfield shoulder. Again, the next progression I would run after the routes you guys have done, I would go fade, comeback. After the fade comeback, I would work slant. After slant, I would work inside release to either a post or a dig on the videos that we were just watching. And now this is going to show you how to speed turn on the post when you get beat, when you open your hips up to 180.
Too far open, he gives us a hard time outside. And the big thing is that if our shoulders get 180 degrees here, our shoulders get 180 degrees, and he tries to undercut us, how we want to play that game? Good, whip eyes, so we stay on top. Okay, it all matters about your shoulders. Your shoulders get open at 180, we want to whip eyes. Set, go. Right, boom, on top, good. The biggest thing about whip eyes, we need to understand why we do it. Because we get our hips open, we get our shoulders open, and we want to stay on top. Let's try that one more time. Set, go. Good.
The last drill that we just watched is a good drill to start. The coach called it whip eyes. We call it speed turn. But now if you want to get a little bit more complicated, here's a drill that you can use from going from a motor shuffle with the offhand jam, and then when your receiver, your partner that's working you, when you get your hips at 180, and then he tries to undercut you back upfield, then you can work your speed turn. Here's a look at the drill. And again, this is a little bit more difficult than the last one you watched. This last drill right here, again, to help work your speed turn, what it's doing is just creating that sense of losing that receiver when you speed turn and being able to get your eyes back on him. So again, this is a little bit more difficult than the first drill that we watched, but after watching this a couple times, you can see how to do this. again, this would be my last progression I would work. We would do the post. In these examples, none of the receivers try to undercut the corner on the post, but if you're working with your quarterback receiver partners, what I would tell the receiver to do is beat me upfield with the outside release for 5 yards. Try to get them to have your hips open to 180, and then have them try to come back underneath you and beat you on the post. So you have to speed turn and get to it. Again, none of these examples show that, but that's what I would do again. Start with the fade, work the comeback, work the slant, work the inside release to the dig or to the post right off the bat, and then work the post with the outside release, and at 5 yards that receiver trying to work back inside of you to the post, because that's the routes that we'll see.